Back to your host, Jim Freed.
All right, we're starting the second half of the show. I'm wearing my Gator stuff from UF, so it's a big UF day. Got my UF glass here from the Warrington College. Thank you so much to them. Got all my good UF stuff behind me today, sporting it up there. So it's big UF day, and we're talking to my partner, Jim McCarthy in New York, who didn't go to UF. He went to Columbia. Hey, Jim.
Hello.
He's a lot smarter than I am.
I won't hold it against you.
Columbia, it's because he's just smarter than I am.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah, you got it. You're the man. So listen, on the other side, we were talking about crowdfunding. We were talking about how a lot of the best-in-class developers are using crowdfunding. Let's talk a little bit about what our friends at Crowdfunding have done, because a number of the people that have given them initial phone calls that they've talked to initially have backed away because they really didn't get it, or maybe they were just sticking their toe in the water. But it's really maturing now. Jim, what's the difference between just a few months ago and today?
The difference is really on the level of the individual source. Look, crowdfunding has the problem of taking the risk of getting the money. If you go to a certain crowdfunder who closes the deal, which is the same, like a bank is effectively a crowdfunder. It closes the deal and it uses its money from its investors, depositors, sells pieces to other banks, sells pieces to pension companies. But you don't have to worry about the money. The bank says we'll close the deal. You know the bank has the money, usually. You have the crowdfunders who are syndicated, so like they're broker dealers. They say we'll go out and we'll raise the money, and we hope we can do it. We give you a little letter saying we're confident we can do it, and you got to take your hope that they actually perform. That's why you might go to a big established company, because they have a history of performance. There's a lot of new crowdfunders who have no history and have limited networks, and they do deals. Maybe they'll do your deal. There are crowdfunders who have their own money. They close the deals and then they syndicate it, so they take the risk. But they're limited by how much money they have. They're not usually very large, so it doesn't help when you're doing a large real estate transaction. You know, $3 million, $5 million, they can handle. But then they have to syndicate that $3 to $5 million before they can do the next $3 to $5 million deal.
Now, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
What we've done is we've linked up with CrowdStreet, which is a large best efforts. They don't close with their own money, they present it. But they've done over $2 billion worth of business. They have a stable of 14, 15,000 investors. There's a pretty good chance that if they say they'll do it, they'll do it. They also underwrite the deal, as opposed to some where it's like, just put your documents up on my website, add a pretty picture, and let's see if it sells.
This is a really complex. This is a really complex situation. They have hurdles that you need to meet to get on the site. We've got a number of very high quality clients that are going through the process right now. Some of the best in class developers in town have used this methodology in the past. And I recently sat at an event and listened to two people that have successfully executed on these platforms, laughing about how they raised double what they had originally tried to raise. Tell us a little bit about the process, Jim, and what the crowdfunding sources are looking for.
Well, first of all, one of the things people don't realize is it doesn't have to be a specific piece of real estate. They will also raise money for funds. They'll raise money for lenders. It has to be real estate. It has to be pref equity. One of the clients of CrowdStreet is a mezz fund. So I actually ran into a situation where I was talking to somebody who was talking about borrowing from the mezz fund. And I said, well, why borrow from them? Your deal is big enough. Go directly to the people who provide the money to the mezz fund. And they were like, oh, yeah, we wouldn't be able to do that. It's too complicated. So they'll end up paying a scrape to the mezz fund and fees and so on instead of doing it directly. One of the things we've done is we've put together a package where we can take you from the CPACE to the regular lender for the construction loan or regular debt, to the crowdfunder for the pref equity, and have the crowdfunding done in a manner that already has the tokenization built into it. So you get the CPACE funding, you get the bank funding, you get the pref equity, and you have the setup to convert it into tokens when you want to do so. So we created the whole environment.
And that's something that's unusual. A lot of people want to get involved in this situation, but they really don't know how. A lot of people have taken initial steps, but have not followed through. They've had initial contact, and we're actually being asked by CrowdStreet to reach out to a number of the best-in-class developers here, merely to reintroduce them to the circumstance. I've got the letters here from CrowdStreet that are my letters of introduction, basically. So it's really an important thing that we're doing to help the real estate industry down here move into the next level. We've got these incredible stretched loans. We've got relationships with the debt funds that are direct. We've actually created a vertically integrated debt fund relationship that can get people the higher leverage that we've been talking about. And, we've got the direct access to Wall Street and the crowdfunding, which will continue to help people fund their deals. Now, Jim, what am I leaving out here?
I'd say the other piece that we have that really doesn't get mentioned much is ESG, environmental, social, and governance. It is becoming increasingly important. The funds, pension funds, banks, and government agencies are demanding that ESG be implemented. It could be as little as environmental energy savings, but there's also social savings, running nutritional programs, and so on. It is not more expensive than not doing it if you do it right from the start. And what we've done is we've also linked up with companies that develop properties in accordance with ESG standards. They do platinum LEED, wellness buildings, and so on, which we can bring into the mix as well as a consultant or co-GP on the developments. And again, that's an area where there's a lot of scam going on, a lot of greenwashing. In fact, just in Germany yesterday, the German police raided Deutsche Bank and DWS on investigations of they were making false claims about following ESG requirements. So again, it's an area that is going to become more and more important. It's an area full of people who don't know what they're doing and full of institutions who are trying to cover up they don't know what they're doing. But again, we've brought those into the ecosystem that we can bring that in from day one and build it through the whole system. You're on mute.
Yeah, there's the Deutsche Bank. Sorry, they were doing all kinds of crazy stuff here with the noise.
Yeah, Deutsche Bank gets rated every other day. They've taken Credit Suisse's position.
Come on now. So, Jim,
what set up a police station at Deutsche Bank, save themselves a trip.
Hey, just send us the money. You don't even bother coming. So let's talk a little bit about one of the people we're doing this ESG consulting with. We've got a group that does value add apartment building development. They're looking to recap their deal. We're talking with CrowdStreet to do that. And then they're asking us to help them with ESG financing on some future deals. And we're teaming them up with a consultant that we have that will coach them on ESG and prepare them for the investment. And the investment comes from a pension fund. It's not like it's just candy money. It is a lot of money doing this.
Yeah, in that particular case, the money is from a pension fund that has just allocated $1 billion. They allocated it in April to the real estate manager. And they have a requirement that the real estate manager design an ESG program, set up a corporate structure and goals and so on, and that they then implement those. And they're going to their existing investments and seeing if they can upgrade them. And they're also offering to their new development partners that they'll bring in the ESG component and even help cover any additional expenses. Although, again, people say, oh, it adds 10%. It used to add 10% to the cost, but it doesn't. It's become more mainstream. The costs are lower and the returns are higher. People will pay more for a building that meets ESG standards.
One of the really inexpensive ways to do that is to put ground floor in your ground floor retail, put like a credit repair situation, to put counseling, to put government agencies, government healthcare, all kinds of things. There's a lot of ways to do this that are really not very well known. And we're working with the consultants that really know how to do this. That's, I guess I gave sort of their little candy out there a little bit, but that's sort of been in the press already.
Yeah. I mean, for example, in one building, they have a nutritionist come in once a month to give lessons and talk to people. And you get the S. Everybody's focused on the E, the energy. but it doesn't have to be just energy. You could do wetlands. You could build a water wall, protection against flooding. The S is you do social, so things like nutritional plans, or credit helpment, or job placement, or anything like that is part of the S. And then G refers to the company itself, the governance of the company, and making sure that they actually have ESG components, and not like one company that was just sued because they found the emails from their ESG internal guys saying this is a bad project for environmental reasons, and the email from the board saying that's okay, it'll be a profitable deal. So you have to be careful on the G part of it.
Oh my gosh. Well, listen, Jim, I really appreciate you coming on the show today, talking about PACE financing, ESG, crowdfunding, stretch construction loans, pref equity, and all the other different things that we were able to pull out because we've got our great relationships across the country, and your billions of years of experience up there in New York in the capital markets sector. So I really appreciate you coming on. We're going to shift gears a little bit and do just a small amount of residential. I've been on the phone with Ed Cairo. Ed's down with COVID, but I've got some good ideas from Ed to talk about what's been going on in the residential market to help people buy homes and pull cash out. But Jim, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and talking capital markets today.
Have a good one.